Blockout. Live dashboard. Indeed. Oh, of course. You ever want to get a call from your parents while you're live streaming? My God. Hang on. I don't think they serve food there, but a big novelty is that there's the Sam Adams Brewery there. Well, yeah, yeah. He's no, he's at his parents' house. All right. Well, I'm in the middle of working for a bit, and then I will get back to you. Okay. Bye. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. How are my levels? How are my levels? How are my levels? Ah, shit. Okay. I think we're good. Did I forget to promote it somewhere else? I don't know. Oh, it's unlisted. I'm an idiot. That's why. My stream was unlisted. It was not public. No wonder. Well, that's good. It'll give me a couple minutes to do some stuff here. Watch people roll in, hopefully. Hopefully. And then we'll go over what I've been doing for a little bit. Hmm. I'm not sure what to do about this one. So the thing is that we have this room here, which is supposed to be a sort of conference room area. It feels kind of cramped still, but it does have a higher ceiling here. And this is the last thing I need to do on building A for now, which is just add a ceiling. Um, yeah. I'm not sure we're getting more people today. All right. So I suppose for the historical record, I'm just going to start talking and assume that someone in the future will listen. All right. So compared with where we ended last week, I'm not a lot farther on. There's been some like personal thing. I mean, I'm dealing with the layoff and applying for unemployment. That has been a nightmare. Um, but yeah, that basically culminated in me not doing as much work off camera as I would have liked prior. I did get some in yesterday and this morning. So I don't feel too bad. But is my streams? I would hope it'd be saved, right? Live now. Yeah, it's public. Okay. Um. Yeah. So basically, what I did is I went back over my diagrams here, and I think just like with the ship earlier, I was neglectful of the elevation changes that were that I had planned for. Um, so basically, that's what I realized last night, and I was working to remedy that, and that is true for this ground floor here as well as the second floor up there. There's sort of this increase in elevation this way, which would you know correspond with this. Um, yeah, I had a little stare there. Um, yeah, so in order to accommodate that, I basically just had like these two large blocks, um, rather these, just kind of lying here, forming the sort of facsimile of the elevation of the town. Um, and basically, the bottom floor in my diagrams uh, accounts for this sort of being slightly below ground level because you have this elevated thing up into the door, and then that door is basically at ground level here. So it was like, oh, so this is like depressed below um, ground level, and I absolutely did not build it that way. So basically, that ended up with me slicing this thing up into multiple chunks around the perimeter of the building, and then like pushing everything inwards down about 16 units. Um, yeah, and so that allowed me to put this in. And I started. Yeah, there's like a back office here that has a sort of raised step for like the desk there. I just wanted it to be a little fancier. And then there's the back window here, which is pretty crucial because, you know, the players, well, they're going to start about here. And, you know, we're going to have a gate here that I haven't put that in yet. But that's basically locked. And so, you know, the window here is the first and really only entry that they have for the time being. You also start noticing I'm placing Viz portals as I go. I kind of didn't for a little bit, and then I started, after I was placing doors, I was like, oh yeah, if, you know, door entities close on a Viz portal, then, you know, that Viz portal won't draw beyond that surface. So that's pretty helpful. So I figured it was good to start placing those instead of having to go back and do it for stuff I already built. So yeah, that's about what I've done in map. Started developing these offices, started kind of pushing and tweaking. You know, the player's going to be coming up these stairs to the second floor, and then they're going to hopefully be pushed in here. And once they come through here, hopefully they'll see the ship there, and, you know, that's when it's going to start moving. So yeah. I basically like tried to move the windows around in order to tweak the read on that and make a little space for the ship to show up. And yeah, that's basically where we're at. Something else I should bring up is that, and I don't know if I'm going to. Oh, come on. Installation canceled. Oh no. I don't know if I'm revealing anything sensitive here. I don't think so. I mostly say that because my repo is like public, and I don't know if I should make it not public. But if this would help, my professors in college, way back when, and then like people I've talked with since on the job, have still recommended using version control. There we are. Yeah. They've recommended implementing version control or setting up version control for you know, my maps, which is a good idea. So that's kind of what I did first thing during the week when I was like, I want to work on my map. I'm like, well, first I should get this up on GitHub because this computer is kind of fragile. It's kind of old and clunky, and you know, if this thing were to basically brick, you know, I don't really have a way to recover my work, and that makes me feel very uncomfortable. So yeah, I've set this up, and we should be okay. So I don't know if people are overly familiar with this stuff. If you're not, version control is just a way for you to push files to a server, and it keeps a version of each file on the server. It's not necessarily like a literal like copying, but it like sort of looks at the changes between versions of the file, and then it saves those, and so it's able to convert that into, you know, whatever version of the file that you had pushed at any given time. That's really helpful to, you know, have a backup somewhere. So let me see, canal.map changes. So I guess just for an example, you know, I tried to do this like the sort of classic, not classic, but like the way I was taught in college. So if I say right click on engine final, which was a project for my game engine programming class. Um, you know, which actually did use a Git repository. You would set it up with like Git clone or Git create repository here. I completely forgot how to do that with this tool Tortoise Git, and so I fortunately found that GitHub has like a visual thing that basically takes care of all of that. So yeah, so I guess just for a sample, I'm going to select all these, and I'm going to say like further building a work height changes some of the ceiling and done. And I commit to master, which is the master branch or like the default branch name. And yeah, that's pushed. And so now we have a revision of changes. Here you can see like the interior of like, or the actual like contents of each of these files. And yeah, and so here's like the push we just made, and it tells you like all the things that were added, all the things that were changed, all the things that were deleted. Yeah, it's pretty good. So it's nice to have that set up, you know. That's probably one of the least interesting aspects of game development, but it is very important. So, yeah. So I guess we're going to finish this up, try to figure out what I'm doing in terms of a ceiling or a roof. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm thinking I want to get a ceiling thing to go from this edge all the way down to here, to give it a nice slanted thing, like outwards, like away from this facade of the building. But like I put this piece of geo here because it's a bit of an interior wall in this area, or in this particular room. But I had it stretch out to here to match where it hits a corner there. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm just going to split it down the middle here where it intersects with this wall, and then I'm going to squish down the height here. I think that'll be all right. All right. So where is that? That is here. All right. Now this begs the question, what the hell is this gonna look like? Yeah, I don't know, man. So let me stretch this here. And this is just sort of the way I've been doing it for like these roofs. Take this, stretch it down by moving these edges. Boom. That snaps there. Move it over to meet with the nearer side of the wall. Yeah, and so here's the thing. trying to get it to match with like the slope of this. So it's going to be like slanted in two directions. That's going to be weird. I guess I am kind of concerned if the layouts that I'm making are necessarily, let's say, period appropriate, even though it's not like a historical period or anything. Like it's basically a thief game. It's its own thing, but you know, it's very clearly themed to be like medieval, but also a little steampunk. So I guess I'm wondering, I don't know, I'm just sort of making what I think are modern aesthetics in like a building, but like I don't know if that's gonna be seen as weird or if it's still permissible. I don't know. I worry about these things. I really do. No, looks like I can't move that. Alright, so how are we going to do this? We're going to have like a triangle, kind of plug in this. And again, what do we do with like this space? It's so odd. Maybe I split this in half again. Okay. Yeah, and if I stretch that out to meet it. Yeah, okay. Okay, that works. Again, would a hall having like the same ceiling height as like a meeting room in here, is that necessarily appropriate? I don't know. Yeah, maybe be okay to drop this by like 16 units, maybe 32 even. At least the higher end, because you know it's slanting. I'm on an A grid, so 1, 2. No, won't let me do that. Okay, so what if I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. Sorry, I don't have anyone lined up for this week. I asked another of my former coworkers now. He said he'd be good for next week, I think. So hopefully that comes through. And that'll be a designer, actually. So no slight to Matt Davey, of course. Oh, am I still a little quiet? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Let me kind of eyeballing this here because I want the edges here to form a line between this corner and that corner. And I think that's just about. It's a little concave here, or convex. I'm not sure what it is in this case. Maybe if I slide over by 4. Yeah, that's it. There we go. So if I stretch this here. Oh my lord. Man, that's a lot of them going by. I think I want this to move out to like this corner, maybe? Then move this edge to this corner. Alright, so four. Is that right? Oh no, it's a little thicker than anticipated. Bring that down here. And yeah. Oh, look at that. This is actually going on nice. Kind of nice. Okay, that looks pretty good actually. I'm really happy with that. Yeah. So if I met with there instead. That seems alright. Yeah. Sorry that I'm not particularly talkative today. Something I've been noticing is that, you know, the past few days I've just been like exhausted, you know. Yeah, and I'm just waking up tired, and I'm like, ah, fuck, you know, and I still have to get stuff done. Something I should, I guess, talk more about publicly, I guess, is that the process of applying for unemployment has just been convoluted and stressful. And it really has no reason to be that way. Because there are like so many things that I have to wait on other people for in terms of paperwork I need. You know, because of that, every time that happens, there's like this sort of stopgap. So, for example, like I would need, you know, most recently I needed like pay stubs and invoices from other side. And, you know, I had to send an email about that saying like, hey, I need these to, you know, prove that these were my wages. And then, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I sent that out, and now they gotta get that, and that's gonna take like what, a day? And all the time I'm thinking like, you know, I only have like a certain number of days until I like run out of money, right? Or I have a certain number of days that I have before I'm like evicted, you know. Because, you know, if I stop paying my rent, then, you know, I'm just, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, and so it's, being under that stress is just, you know, tiresome. And it's really weird because I'm now like thinking like, okay, I have all this time now, and even though, you know, I have you know, unemployment I need to figure out, I also need to get like portfolio pieces together, you know, one of which I have and another of which I'm still waiting on getting some of my code from Underworld Ascendant. Then I'm like, okay, I got to do that, and I'm trying to assess whether or not I should just apply for, you know, QA positions. But then I'm worried that like I'm gonna be pigeonholed as a guy who's just in QA, who can't move out of QA, even though, you know, I'm trying. Or, you know, if I withhold that for applying to design positions, which are harder to get, you know, then on top of that, you know, there's just a certain number of other things. Like I'm doing this. I'm trying to play some games to just sort of give myself, you know, catching up on like things I haven't really taken a analytical look at. Like, you know, I'm playing my, I have my old PS3 now, so I'm playing through some old stuff like that. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, sorry, this is going to be a more interesting session. Yeah, so I'm like playing PS3 again, and like I still have Silent Hill 1 on the PS3, so I've been like going through that and taking notes because I think that's the next game I want to cover. Or, well, not that, but Silent Hill 2. But I want to play through 1 first, so that I can contrast it with 2. Because I have not played 2 yet, and I'm really excited to. But then there's that. I have, a number of books that I've been meaning to get to. Recently, I still have a copy from my coworker Justin of his copy of the Book of Atris, which is a tie-in novel to Myst. And I've been making my way through that. Yeah. So it's weird, even though I don't have to go to a job anymore, at least for the time being. I still feel like I have too much on my plate. And in between all that, I'm still trying to do the script for the game engine stuff. And, do more of this, like, on my own time. And, and with that backdrop of, I feel like I'm really anxious about, not being able to pay my bills, not having that financial security. Oh, my ride's here. Sorry. Yeah. And there are, some times I've just, I've taken a couple of day trips and I just kind of try to hang out with people a little more. I actually saw a coworker down in Providence, Rhode Island. Oh, you were? Sorry to hear that. Yeah, so so the way Boston public transit works, if you're not familiar, is that there's the subway system, and then there are buses, and if you get a monthly pass, you can have like unlimited subways and buses, and that's like $90 a month now. I want to say $90. But then there's also these things called the commuter rails, and those are trains that like actually like trains, like they go out of the city and they go like all over Massachusetts. But as I found out, there's a particular line that actually goes into Rhode Island and through Providence. And one of my former coworkers, lives there, or pretty close to there. And I was like, I don't think I've ever been to Rhode Island. So, I just met him down there for lunch one day. It was pretty nice. I think it's actually funny because when I was applying for unemployment benefits, I found out that there's the state of Massachusetts has a YouTube channel, and they actually have like how-tos in terms of filing unemployment, and so I looked at those and they were very helpful. But because they are because of related keywords, basically, on the right there were like recordings of these conservative talk radio guys who were just like, we have to cut unemployment because these people are like on food stamps, so they're like eating lobster and all that. And then I was thinking, like, I was going down to Providence for lunch with my coworker, and then I was just like, it's Rhode Island, we're near the water, let's get some seafood. And then we went to a place that had raw oysters, and I ordered a couple, and they were sitting there in front of me. I was just like, oh, I'm the guy on welfare who's getting like raw seafood. Like, Like I just proved a stereotype accidentally. My coworker paid for it, for the record. I just, thought that was funny. Yeah. Oh boy. It looks like the rain just picked up outside. I knew there were going to be thunderstorms later on, but I did not think they would come this early. So, I'm glad my windows are closed. Actually, let me check the rest of my apartment real quick. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah, only thing is that my AC unit is still in. It's blocking the rain, but like it's still pretty loud coming through there. I don't know if that's like bothering people. Like I don't know if people can even hear it, but you know. Dang, that was loud. Okay, I think we're good for now. So let me see. Oh, something that was sort of a miracle. I was going to visit a friend while he was on his shift pretty recently, and I walked out the door of my apartment, and on the ground, just like a couple of places. Oh man. Actually, let me get that. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I was going to see a friend a couple nights ago on his shift. Walked out the apartment, and a couple places down, I saw that someone had put out some stuff that they were just say, "Hey, it's free, take it." And I looked at it, and I posted a pic of it on Twitter. There was just this computer case there. And like, if you've seen my past streams, you'll know that I was using my work laptop at the time, but since I got laid off, I had to turn that in. And I've been negotiating, or rather, I would like to negotiate. They've not really gotten back to me on this issue. I've been trying to negotiate getting that back so I can continue to do work on not the laptop I'm using, which is from 2012. Oh my god, that's loud. Did I close that all the way? Yeah, I did. Okay. So yeah, yeah, so it was kind of a miracle that I just came across this computer case, and in it, it still had its motherboard. It has it has a hard disk drive and a solid state drive as well, which is really surprising. And both of those total up to about I want to say like 3/4 of a terabyte, so it's about 750 gigs total, which is not bad. And there's also like a power source in there, but no like power cable. And so like I think if they don't follow through with getting back to me about the laptop, I think I could feasibly just build my own computer. Because I think I just need a CPU, a GPU, and some RAM. Oh lord, we are getting pelted. This will be nice because it won't be unbearably hot later. Alright. I think it's over here. Is that the line? No, why? What am I looking for? Right, I want this to match the slope of this. Yeah, okay, so it's... So it's here to the top corner. Right? It's pretty rad. Alright. And one of the huge drawbacks, actually, of this using this laptop, as we found out on the stream last week, is that I can't stream and actually play the level at the same time without the stream going to absolute dog shit, which really sucks because, iterating and then playing this and iterating and playing it is like really core to the job. And I would like to have a machine that can do that. Step out now. Thank you very much. You too. So yeah. Let me shrink that. And now if I pull this up, I think I gotta pull this down. Hey, that's pretty good. Uh, Great. It's not visible, really. I mean, once I assign different textures to these surfaces, that'll be an issue. But even then, it's like in a place that's not terribly visible. Yeah, I'll just fix it anyways. Still think there's overlap here, or it claims that there is, but on the grid view on the side, it's not showing that. Oh well. I think that fixed it anyway. Yep. Good. Good, good. Here. Drag this down. You know, this exercise has made me realize I'm not sure I know how to do roofs. You know? I don't expect the player to be able to get up here. And I will, you know, test very carefully to make sure that that is not possible. But it's just so weird looking, you know. And I'm this is just a reflection purely of, you know, wanting to have like nice and interesting ceilings. So I'm thinking all about the interior. And it just ends up making this look really weird. Let me see. Nope. Pull that down. Is that the same height? Not quite. Yeah, I think it's off by like a unit. Oh, come on. Okay, no one's gonna notice. Let me pull this in. I also have to question, like, you know, well, actually, no, because this is gonna, I was gonna say, like, I have to question, like, what structure this roof is going to be, like, abutted against. But this is actually just the back wall of the building, so we can like scale that down. And oh, what's it? Yeah. Although it makes me still wonder like what we're gonna do here. I'm starting to realize like having like this town area still be high enough for the ship area here. Um, it's kind of strange, and I don't know how I'm gonna get around it. I think I don't know if I like took this and I like squashed it down to say like about here, because I don't anticipate the player needing to ever get higher than there. You know, from like a particular angle, would the player see like the masts get like cut off from like this interior corner or something? And you know, I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering out loud about my level. What else? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what else I could talk about instead of what is literally in front of me. Do I slice that up, or do I add another brush here? Decisions. This thing is going to be so oddly shaped. I mean, it already is, but... oh yeah, I should have asked him prior, but if he'd come on this stream, but a friend of mine that I've made online, this guy's name is Colin. He's a QA lead at was it Alchemy? They just did a vacation simulator. The studio did Job Simulator, and then the that Rick and Morty VR game. Anyways, he proposed that he and I do a stream where we like make Mario Maker levels. I think that'd be neat. And so I was thinking like, oh man, it might be interesting to have like him on this stream, and then we like go and do the Mario Maker stuff. Yeah, that's another thing we could talk about, because that's the second one just released, and it's very interesting to see those little I guess tutorial things. I haven't picked up the game yet because lack of income. But I'm really interested in it because they actively added those little tutorial things, basically saying like, hey, it's really, or your level's really difficult, it's not terribly interesting, or things like, hey, did you think about like what if the player like throws this particular thing into a pit, and then you've made them stuck. And so I really appreciate that, and I like that, because that was like a huge issue with Mario Maker 1 levels. It's just like people were like, I'm gonna make a really difficult level, and then everyone else was saying like, oh man, this is a great level, and it's like, not really. That was just sort of the fallacy that was going around at the time, that difficult means good design, which it can be, but not necessarily. Where's that? Where's that cock texture? There we go. So what's going on with this? It's like a gap between these two. Oh man. Okay, seriously, how did this become misaligned? That's... I'm not a fan. Misaligned by 1 unit. Okay, so this is airtight, I think. And by that I don't necessarily mean well designed. I mean like literally airtight. Oh, These are above the ground. That's no use. Come on. And I'm gonna need tops for these door frames. So let's duplicate that. Then down here, yeah. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be that friend I was gonna go see when I saw the computer case on the sidewalk. Hung out with him, and then he invited me to just a little event he's doing where he talked with me about wanting to write an article based on a game, and I was thinking that would be pretty cool. So he is actually he's putting that on tonight, and I'll be going over there. And his intent is that he's a really huge fan of this playwright named Brecht, whose work I am not terribly familiar with, but the synopsis my friend gave me was basically like it's a like Brecht wanted to write like plays that like slightly made you question the world that the fiction took place in, to the point where it like weirded you out a little bit. And he thinks that he can apply that approach to reading or to looking at Heavy Rain of all games. So it seems pretty interesting. And I definitely want to learn more about that. Again, this is slightly misaligned. This must just be a result of like the skewing. Oh boy. Thunder in the distance. Let me see. I think I'm going to split this down where this meets. And I'll have that reshaped to match the slope of the roof there. that's not the one I wanted. There we are. Shit, where was that again? Okay. Yeah, this... I'm not sure this is going to matter much. I mean, I guess we'll see, because this, like, even this lip out of, like, world spawn brushes, I think is going to subdivide the Viz tree. Well, even if they were flush with each other, I think they would. Dang. I don't know. It does get me worried. Oh, come on. Resize that. Oh, hey, who... Wow. Nah, it's just an email. Wow, it's been an hour already. Jeez. Here, I thought we were going to get to building B, like, lickety-split. I suppose not. That match up. Right, gotta slice this. Oh, I see. Good. That should plug that up. No, I gotta... My camera's in that, isn't it? Yeah. Are those flush with each other? Yeah, they are. Oh. Good to get that. And these are Z fighting. What's going on here? Slide that in. There we are. Great. Oh, whoops. Okay, so yeah, I raised this floor here up to these offices. I neglected to pull this floor up with it. Whoops. So I'll just split that. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of the split tool, which is weird because I don't think that was one of the things I was terribly confident in using during my last map. And, okay. What's your opinion on mind maps from Pathologic 2? You know, I didn't really think too much about them at the time. I'm not sure I've mentioned, but you know, my playthrough is kind of stalled on that for the time being because this machine definitely cannot run Pathologic 2. There was one particular. Well, there are a couple of particular cases, but there's one case where I was around day 5 or 6. I think it was pretty close to when I had to stop. Where there were a number of things on the mind map that seemed unrelated, and then they all started kind of moving towards each other as I on the diagram as I completed events and did things for people, and then they all kind of unified into this like blank dotted circle. And then I was like, oh, like these things are interconnected. And so it was pretty interesting to have that like evoke this ominous sort of feeling. The other thing was that when you're starting to create excuse me, we're starting to create tinctures to fight the plague. There's a thing that's like you know, here's the objective for, you know, I'm able to you know, make these things, and now I have to test all of them to see if like any of them will cure the sand plague. And then it has like 4 or 5 branching like circles off of it, and that's because there are 4 different organs, and then I'm assuming that there's going to be a 5th objective that comes through and says like, you know, this is the one that, you know, helps you cure the plague, or like this one doesn't. So it's interesting that it was sort of like a checklist to be like, here's the outcome for like when you use an infected liver for your tincture, or when you use an infected heart for your tincture, or just infected blood. Actually, no, you know what? It was 4 organs plus the plus blood that you could pull off of someone in that game. So yeah, I guess it does make sense that there's 5. So yeah, it's interesting that it kind of like served as like a checklist in that way. Do you post your streams anywhere? I haven't been able to watch all of these, but I wanted to. Yeah, people keep asking about that, and I think I need to find a different way of communicating it. On my channel, they're under playlists. You should be able to see the archived level streaming sessions. They're all unlisted because I don't want them like a lot of people have talked about this issue when they're like streaming on YouTube. There's really no way to archive them separately from like your actual video releases. So yeah, that's kind of the tact I'm taking right now. Okay, and I'm not sure what to do here for finishing this. Well, let me excuse me. Let me grab the player start here. Move this up for size reference. So yeah, this is still a pretty high ceilinged area, so I think if we slanted it a little bit here, then that'd be fine. We'd still have plenty of room. Yeah, it's probably okay. So let me do this. And mostly I'm concerned about this because, say for example, with the weather outside my apartment right now, it's very important to understand that roofs are slanted in the way they are because of water fall off. And if there's a roof that's particularly flat, then water kind of puddles up there, and that runs the risk of having that like seep into the building and doing all that. So and causing like water damage, or maybe like a bunch of water pools up there and it becomes so heavy that it like actually bursts through. And so that's a bit of an example of like functional architecture. So I kind of want to mimic that here a little bit. Found them, thank you. It's a crime hound. Oh, thanks. I wish I could have more regular output. It's just been tough. So yeah, I think I was talking about rain roll off. That was one of the weird things that I fixated on when watching something like Breaking Bad, because I think that was really interesting to see in the context of New Mexican architecture, that they have these adobo houses out there, and adobo houses they just have flat roofs, and that's like, well, that makes sense because they live in a place where they don't really get a lot of rain, and so they can do that. So that was an interesting thing to notice. And I'm a complete nerd for caring about that sort of thing. Is that going to be noticeable enough of a slant? Do you think that's... Yeah, it's pretty noticeable. And bring this up to not have that little gap there. All right. And I think for ceilings, that's pretty much it for building A. Yeah, of course. Yeah, this thing kind of became messy. Yeah, and so like I'm saying, I kind of want the roof of this building to vaguely be pointing in one direction. So that, in the theoretical universe of this game and this level, if there were to be a rainstorm, like all of that could fall off there. The only real exception here is this little bit in the middle that's kind of flat, but I feel like that's okay because it's surrounded by slopes. I think there'd be a risk of water pooling up like right here. Oh, okay. So for this, let's squish that in. And that, I think, meets at that corner. Yeah. Cool. Now we're up here. Nope. Oy. Yeah. Oh, right, I forgot windows here. That'd be helpful. How these go again. Here's the top floor. Here's what we're looking at. Let's do some measurements. Oh, come on. Cooperate. Yeah, well, I think this is just, yeah, it's 64 units in, about 64 units wide. And then, this is going to be 128. Yeah. And another 64. That is, of course, assuming that, that is still, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6? 6 times 64? Which would be 388. 384, rather. Jeez. I'm a dumbass. Oh, where am I? Sorry, switching back and forth between programs is a little disorienting sometimes. Actually, that was, well, yeah, it's a little wider actually than was it 384. So that's 64. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 7 actually. So it'll be good there. If we wanted to tweak that, I think having wider windows would be nice because it's supposed to be a swanky sort of office thing. Yeah, so let's try that. Try that. I'm going to move this over by 32 units. And that should give us windows that are 96 wide. That's pretty nice. Come on. All right. Hey, those look pretty good. Yeah, I gotta think of like a glass material or something I could use. I'm not sure about putting viz portals on these windows yet. guess it would make sense, right? Oh yeah, and well, actually, let me do that and demonstrate something. Something I completely forgot is that so I've got my grid graph here, and here's the or my grid view rather. Grid graph is a pathfinding term. I've got the grid here. Here's the view of this particular wall, and I'm gonna no, I'll adjust it. I'll drag this out. Let me adjust the height here. Something I completely forgot is that instead of having to apply the no draw texture and then apply the viz portal texture to one particular surface, I completely forgot you can just select a brush, right click here, make viz portal, boom. Ah, so convenient. And I must, for anyone who's familiar with the dark mod, who has been watching my streams, I must have looked like a complete idiot last time when I was trying to add viz portals. Okay, so I did that for that. And yeah, gonna copy that, move that over here. I think that's about. Yep. Okay. And of course, gotta drag that up to extend to the ceiling. And boom. Hey, I am here, and I have no idea what a viz portal is. Well, if you saw my first stream session, hey Rosso dude, what'd I miss? Nah, just more blocking out. Oh my god, we're halfway done in terms of the time slot. Oh, whoops. Good thing I caught that. Because this is at a lower elevation than the other window. Jeez. Okay, so I think we're pretty good there. Yeah. Shit, I think it's time for building B. Holy shit. We've made it, folks. We're on Easy Street. No, not really. Okay, so actually let me pull out the blank field. Stream the canal. Oh no, I'm giving away all my stuff. The overarching area. Here we go. All right. So we just did building A right here. Come on. Hey man. I don't think it'll matter, but I'm doing it anyway. Okay, so we just finished up with building A for the blockout. we're gonna do a little of the more set dressy building parts, like after we do the main 3 here. So we just finished with that. We've got the player started out there. Yes, I'll move him back. Then we've got this alleyway separating the two, but there's going to be a sort of a catwalk, as noted here. I'm just kind of showing like where this thing fits in together, and then it's like directly abutting building C. So, yeah, it should just about line up at the end with this second set of locks. If it doesn't line up exactly, I'm not gonna be distraught. So yeah, here's kind of the overview of that. Here's sort of the interior. It kind of opens out into this drawbridge area where ships are supposed to, you know, bring their cargo on and off for inspection. And that's going to be the primary way that the player can get on the ship. I still gotta figure out like how I can support the player getting on via other means. But yeah. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is actually make sure that the surrounding area here can be at the right height to support what we're doing. So basically, that was a weird ass way for me to say I'm gonna sculpt the not sculpt, but oh, my mouse wheel's going crazy. To basically account for height changes in this street area first. So okay, so what are we doing? So that's easy because that's cut. Or what I mean, that's cut alongside the building wall there. And good, that's pretty much gonna line up here. So okay, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. So I'm thinking, how high do I want this? There's gonna be a staircase here and a sort of ramp surrounding it, going around this corner, and then building B is going to be right about here, or the wall is going to be here, and then over to the right of the camera. So we'll have this alley here, a stair kind of wrapping around here. So I need to make a decision as to how that's going to or how high that elevation change is going to be. The player is, I think, 64 units tall, so that's not a bad rule of thumb to follow. Oh, come on. 16, yeah, 64. Thing is here, I was checking this earlier. between here and here, that's a drop of 128 units. So if I go 64 up there, then basically I've halved the available elevation change. And I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. But yeah, because if I have another 128 here between being flush with you know, the water level here, no, I think they'll be okay. I think that'll be all right. Don't you? Oh, come on. My mouse wheel is not great. Come on. Okay. So how wide is this alley gonna be? Snap the grid. 100%. Sorry, I'm just reciting settings that I'm changing in the Google Draw thing, like off screen. So I don't blame you if you think I'm weird. 1, 2, 3, 4 times 64, so that'll be 256. All right, so this is like 16 shy of 4. So I could just adjust that over. Yeah, do people hear that truck outside, by the way? All right. Good, so that's 256 wide right now. So I did some research, and I think viz portals are how the mapper splits up their level for processing purposes. Yeah, pretty much. It determines what is being rendered at any given time. And yes, sorry. Yeah, I live next to a gas station, by the way, so yeah, it's not uncommon. It's also not uncommon for that to happen at 2 in the goddamn morning. Oh, I love it. So I'm sorry you have to put up with that as well. Great train track, so I feel ya. I am also next to the very commuter rail that I used to take to get to work. And now no longer. Yeah, okay. No, let's get a good view of that. Split this. Bring this down. So that is indeed. Let me check. Oh. That is indeed an elevation change of 64 units. Great. Actually, something I didn't account for although I think this will be nice. So if the player's here, and there's going to be a gate here, then we're going to need some stairs to go up there. And I think that'll be a really nice decorative thing, to have these stairs sort of running up that alley entry. Yeah, that'll be nice. Oh my lord. What do you do now instead of work? This. No, I'm looking for work. I need to get some materials from my old job. And then I'm going to start applying. I did already apply to a QA opening in the Boston area, but you know, I'm not enthralled about the idea of going back to QA, you know. I would much prefer not to. But, you know, if push comes to shove, you know, I'll do it. Yeah. No, let me stretch that. And it's gonna be what? The rule is usually like for a stair, it's like 8 units high, 12 deep, right? So that's 8 high. It's 12 deep. So just gonna take that. And we will copy paste. Now that's lined up with well, I can do with one less. Oh, well. Oh, that's simple. That's a simple fix. No. There we are. Actually, let me give these a contrasting texture so it doesn't look repetitive. Yeah, look at those. Well, actually, if I undo that, and this will be something that we do later on, but you can like clearly see on all of these stairs that the texture is like very clearly repeating on these, and that looks very bizarre and artificial. Um, this is not necessarily a lot better, even though it makes more sense as wood plank. As far as the material that the stairs would be made out of goes. So yeah, one of the little things later on we're going to be doing is we're going to be like rotating the textures on these faces, and then we're going to like shift them over a little, a few pixels here and there, in order to make it look offset and not like repetitive. Actually, let me sort of bevel these inwards. I'm definitely focusing on this detail way too much. At least for the time being. Do you hate texture alignment as much as I do? Yes, that was like a huge time waste in the last map I did in Dark Radiant. I saw this guy who did a tutorial of some sort for Trench Broom, which is the Quake mapping thing, and he was just talking about like how to do like good like curves and pipes and hollowed out pool shapes and things like that, and it was just really astonishing what he did. And they have like such great texture alignment tools to like make realigning things like as painless as possible. And yeah, I wish I mean there's some weird texture alignment stuff in here. Let me see if I can find that. Brush patch. Yeah, there are some tools in here that were not particularly helpful, but I spent like a lot of time aligning textures, especially on stone, and it wasn't very enthralling use of my time, to be honest. Spent 2 hours doing that 2 weeks ago. Simply painful. Oh, man. Frankly, only 2 hours? Like, I mean, not to say that wasn't unpleasant, but, like, you could spend, like, way more time doing that as well. Let me see if that lines up. Yeah, that lines up, okay. Oh, and this is another thing. Again, with concerns about BSP and Viz portals and whatnot. The way that, and this is something I actually learned from my student maps in college, you do not need to have things like stairs here, like cutting up your Viz tree. Like, these do not need to be world spawn at all, because that means that basically every face of these is going to like slice through space, and that's something that the renderer is going to have to keep track of. So very much so make things like this func static or func detail or whatever the equivalent is. I often feel like the auto texture alignment in Unreal Ed is worse. I just fixed one geometry hole in map and spiral into madness trying to get the new texture line. Oh god, yeah. Yep. Actually, for something like this, I don't know, would a Would stairs that are a little broader and easier to walk up be okay? Like if I made them like 16 deep instead of 12 deep. I don't know. Let me look at. Let me look at this alley again. Yeah, so I think we're gonna have another cube that's like 128 here. 128 by 128. That's going to be the landing for the stairs here, and then the stairs are going to come down here. And I'll try this. Okay, yeah. So bring this down. And then that's, yeah. Okay. Hey, look at that, stairs. I'm gonna convert that to func static. Great. And one of the nice things about that is that once you group something into one func static object, it's like you just click it all and it's like all selected, and you can move it as one unit. So the way that this is going to be shaped is that I think I'm going to have a landing here that's like 32 units from this ground surface, and then this will slide down like 32 units, and then that'll slide down 32. I think. So that means it'll still be 128 square. Yeah. Do you have any updates about your work laptop situation? No, not really. I did say earlier that I posted on Twitter this computer case that was like randomly up for grabs on my street, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I think I could have the beginnings of a actually, let me do this. I could have the beginnings of like a computer that I could be building, like out of like junk parts maybe. Although I still need, I think it's a CPU, a GPU, and RAM. So even though that would be cheaper than buying a new computer whole cloth, I don't know. I think that what's it? I still need to like hold off on that. It's still gonna take a while. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so it's kind of tough to tell this apart, especially in like unlit view. Let's try this. Okay, kind of. That's weird because that doesn't really have this problem in At least not as far as I've seen in the actual game when you're running it. Because it knows that it's supposed to like apply this evenly. So that's weird that would mess up the preview. Unless the preview is maybe not all that great. Oh well. But yeah, so there's the shape of our ramp there. Okay. So then the did I leave the player start in there? Jeez. That's not good. Okay. So let's just start by creating the wall here. I'm not sure what the cardinal directions would be technically. Would that be... Because in the top down view, like, this is north. So I guess it would be the western wall. Yeah. So I think this extends basically to the same coordinate as this face. Right? Yeah. Every day is a miracle. Oh. Am I gonna get in trouble for singing that? Yeah, one of the nice things that Justin did for me is that he actually had bought a vinyl copy of the last David Byrne album, American Utopia, and so I actually finally got around to giving that a spin on my record player a couple days ago. That was a nice time. I might do that again real soon. And this wall extends all the way to this face as well. All right. Hey, we're starting to get a sense of the environment. I'm really digging this. I wish the preview lighting didn't look like, you know, an episode of Reboot, but you know. Okay, so this wall, we're gonna have a face here that extends a certain number of units before going into a 45-degree angle. Come on. One, 2, 3, 4, 256. So that'll be I can just take a triangle for the 45-degree angle. Of course, in Google Draw, which is off screen. I'm sorry. Well, anyways, it looks like that's going to be 128 in both dimensions. Whoa, what happened to my textures here? Okay. This will be 128. Nice. And yeah, I basically changed the layout of building B to have this sort of front entry that we're going to be building, largely so that from the player's view here, the view of what we're going to be building out here will be blocked. For that to happen, this needs to basically extend as far this way as this particular face. So I want to check that. It does not. So I can definitely make this a little more sharp of an angle. And then that should work. So okay. And that'll be, what was it? 32, 192. 3 times 64 units. And then here will be the front doors. Actually, that does make me question, because what I want from the player start here, and oh my lord, where did that... Oh, does that not show up on the lighting preview? Oh, no it doesn't. Interesting. So lighting preview is hiding the viz portals. That's interesting. That's actually really helpful. So from the player view here, I want the player to be able to see some stuff over here, right? Sort of get a preview of like, hey, this is going to be important. So I'm just hoping from this particular angle, there's still a way to like call out. There's like something important here, because you know obviously they're not going to be able to see the front door. I'm gonna have to think about that. And yeah, this looks like it's gonna be about 128 wide. Yep. And I think it's going to be another 192 on the other side of that. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So we'll have some doors there. Then this is basically going to be the same width here. It's going to be 144 along this dimension. And then for the time being at least, because this is going to be like the outer bound of building B. I think that's where that'll end. That is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 64. Oh, what is 8 times 64? Jesus. Well, that'd be 320 plus 192, right? So 3. Be 420 plus 92. Oh, that'd be 512, wouldn't it? Nice. And yeah, the edge of building B pretty much lines up with this particular lock. That's great. Oh yes, elevation changes. All right. So on the diagram here, this particular face here is basically the start of another series of steps down, which I think is going to be like 32 units, because it's going to be less drastic than that walkway in the alley. No, god damn it. Where was I? Okay. Oh, come on. And yeah. So I gotta cut up the ground here to accommodate that. I don't know why I did that, I'm sorry. That's going to line up at the front of the building here. Yep, nice. Let me get that. And nice. We have a 32 unit decline. Now I guess I have to wonder, do I want the floor of the shipping area to be flush with the upper here, or lower elevation here. I would think the lower, maybe. Then here. Oh no, I don't want both of those sliced up. Huh, that's okay. Didn't know I could do that. I didn't know that I could like keep the data here and then you could deselect it and then reselect a brush and it would still be able to apply the speculative cut. Yeah. Wait, this is grouped? Huh. Oh, do I need to... No, come on. What's going on with this? I don't get it. Don't get it. Oh, okay, sure. There's this. There's that. Over these two. And from here, just lower the walls in here. Boom. Oh, and here too. That's going to extend the whole width. Oh. Something else is that this is going to sort of be a bottleneck area because we're going to have a building facade extending out here as well. So yes, it's not just going to be this like massive like flat wall. Hey Jared. Oh, hey Tyler. How you doing? So let me see. One, two, three, four. So again, that's going to be when it comes in here. That's going to be 256 wide. So we 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1 here. So X. Okay, so from that'll be another 256, right? So out from this wall, it's gonna be another 256. Before we start hitting the initial wall of this other building that's going to be there. So that'll be, no, it'll be right about here. Make that. That's gonna extend out 128. And both dimensions here. Bring that up to like something like that, I guess. And then this will be, I believe, 256, right? 240, 256. That's actually a little, but that doesn't quite line up with this. So right now this is 256 minus 16, so that's 240, and it's lining up with it now. I think I can live with that, and I would want to err on the side of giving the alley more space as opposed to letting the building take up more space. Yeah. Right, so how many wide is it going to be? 1, 2. How many units wide, I should say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. 14 times 64 would be 640 plus 256. So would that be 896? All right. Let's see. 896. Yeah. Right on. I'm not sure if it's worth splitting this along this elevation change, or if I can just kind of clip it in. For a blockout, I think it's fine. And then for this, we're, oh, whoops. For this, we're just going to have something of equal size on there. Now we're going to cut these in half, give it a nice bevel. Then over here, yeah, okay. Does that feel a little narrow? Maybe not. I don't know. I guess as opposed to the way I pictured it in my mind's eye. I thought it was going to be a more broad looking street, but I think that's okay. So again, 12 by 8. Oh, whoops. No. Again, gotta make these funk static. This will also be interesting because this opening is reserved for connecting the catwalk to the next building. So this might be pretty wild in terms of the slope. But I don't know. If it looks neat, I'm for it. Yeah, let's do the lighting preview here, even though I have 0 lights in this area. Oh, man. I'm excited. It's actually coming together pretty nice. No, that's not what I wanted. Now this is what I wanted. There. All right. Well, obviously it doesn't look as impressive from this side. At least not yet. So what am I gonna do? I need front doors for these. Make a copy of this door, slide it over here. Come on. All right. I think that'll be okay. Right? Yep. Oh, what happened to the There's usually like these whoops. There's usually like these gray bounds of this texture for the floral stuff, which I think is supposed to represent like transparencies in the texture. But those aren't rendering anymore. It must be related to the light preview stuff. So alright, cool. And then, of course, I'm gonna add a viz portal. Yep. Pink and beige. And so this will also be cool because this will be like an alleyway that kind of goes off into the distance, but it'll be gated off. All right, what next for this building? Because I'll start working on the back faces. Yep. So again, that's going to be... I'm going to have a 45-degree angle here. That is 128 by 128. So... come on. Oh, you know what I should have done instead? 128, that way it's already next to that. And then there we go. It's going to be inward. I think another 128. Actually, no. No, it'll be 196, right? Or 192, rather. Yep. Like that. Oh, and right, there's going to be this a second story overhang here. So I'm not sure how much we're going to devote to this height, to the height of the ground floor. Oh, man. Shit. Messed it up. No. No. Okay. Yeah, that seems about right. We're going to have a overhang a bit here. That's going to be for the controls for the drawbridge. And so having it at about this height and cutting it off, that'll be a nice frame for whatever's here, which is likely going to be like, you know, more of an alleyway and or more of a promenade, I guess, because it's like out towards the open of the water. My God, half hour to go, and it's quitting time. Oh, geez, look at that. Glad I caught that. This is also going to get complicated because I planned for sort of weird divot here that's going to, A, all be metal, and B, sort of serve as a theoretical area where like people are pushing their cargo through to be checked. Like there's going to be a crate sliding along here and along there. It's going to be a sort of platform up here for like someone in the center to sort of be administrating the whole process. But it's a pretty complicated shape. I don't know if I want to deal with that today. I'll deal with other parts of the building first. Yeah, let's make the facade for this building. So that's gonna be 192 out, and then it's gonna be 256 in. So let me grab that. $64, 1, 2, 3. And that'll be 256. Oh, and yeah, this is gonna have another elevation change, so why not do that? Then it'll be lining up with this face. So, ooh, Split those apart. Oh, actually, that's convenient. I can just delete that and pull this out. Yay! We'll pull that down. I think this is going to have another 128 by 128 beveled corner here. And then, you know, this building is going to extend out farther, but that is not currently on the building B diagram. This is where it ends. I'll have more info on that when we get to building C. So actually, I can make a copy of this. Move this out here. Come on. And what's the width of this going to be? Of these stairs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 320. 320. And these are 256. I forget. There's a. The only problem with func static stuff is that normally if you try to like resize it or stretch it, it doesn't do anything. I am trying to figure out. I know there's like a. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, there's like a way to cycle through or like still edit parts of it. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. Well, first off, it lines up with the building here. So at least I know where one of its definite ends is. Sweet. So that'll be 320, like that. It's like pulling teeth. Not the best analogy, but that is still func static. That's nice. Sure. Okay. Yeah, look at this. It's going to be pretty nice. Oh, hey, Aussie. Do we want to do the catwalk? Eh, fuck it. Alright, so the catwalk is going to be 128 wide. So at least we know that. And that this piece right here is 128 units wide. How convenient. And if it stretches all the way to this wall, that is 256 units long. It's pretty good. So, I don't think we want to have the player necessarily enter that high, because then we'll need a certain number of units above to accommodate their height. So if I pull this side down and I try to make it 30 degrees, just like the rest of my stairs, I think that'll be okay. And what would that be? It's going to be 256. Does that divide by 3? That'd be 6 plus 7. No, not really. Crap. So I can do a 2/3 thing to get a 30-degree angle, but even still, I think pulling that down so that it's like half. No, I think that's too steep. That's with it going down 64 units. Frankly, I think that looks okay. So let's bring that up. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 64 units high. That's way too cramped. That'd be 80 then. That would be 96. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's bring that in. Let's pull this out. Actually bring that up. Nice. Nice. See, I gotta stretch this just a tad higher. Yeah, even those. All right. And in terms of the walls, I definitely want there to be openings for the player to look through. So we're going to have to carve out some windows there. So let me just do that for one side first. Oh, that's actually... No. And... let's do that. I don't have any real reasoning as to why I changed it to be that texture. Because, you know, obviously it's not final. No, come on. Fighting with the scroll wheel again. No? This will have to do, so. How many windows do I want in there? Typically going 48 by 48, right? So at least for like smaller windows. So 48 plus a 16 unit spacer would be 64 degrees. Where's my charter? Yeah. Sorry, I'm using wireless headphones here, so they need to charge. Come on. Okay. No. There we go. So I think if I say do this, then this. Oh, whoops. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Instead I did a 2 spacer there. Another window. A 2 spacer here. And then another window. Yeah. That's not quite symmetrical, but I'll have to do. 2, 3. Yeah, okay. I do that. Boom. And now, just punch those out like a jack-o'-lantern. No, I can simplify this. Have this not take up so many brushes. Actually, I don't need that either. Or this. Or even this. No. Nice. Five, 6. Nice. That's 6 brushes as opposed to, what was it before? It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as opposed to like 21. 21 minus 3 windows, which would be 18. So wow. Reducing that by a third, to a third is gonna be really helpful. I'm just gonna copy and move that over to the other window, and now we basically have the bounds of a catwalk. Look at that. I'm not entirely certain as to if these need to be func static, but I guess we'll figure that out soon. And I've got like 7 minutes left. If there's, I don't know if there's anything else I want to really start taking on right now. Well, maybe a bit of the walkway up here. Which would be 128 wide. And then, yeah. And this will be for the second floor. Yeah, having that line up with the having this line up with the second floor there seems appropriate. How much further up is this? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 96 units. So it's a player height and a half, which I think is going to feel a little cramped, but that's probably okay. Yeah. Well, actually, once we started getting out into this alley here, we're making a lot of good time. Making a lot of good progress. Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to call it here 5 minutes early. I hope you don't mind. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'm going to see if my coworker, I want to confirm if he wants to come on next week. I really hope that he can. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep working on this and hopefully get my goddamn unemployment application through. All right. See ya.